There are nights when the world becomes too quiet. Nights when tired hearts remember the things they once tried to forget. And on one of those nights, Daniel returned to the place he thought he had left behind forever. Daniel was 29, an architect whose life had been built on deadlines, pressure, and silent exhaustion. For years, he pushed himself forward, always forward, until his body finally refused to keep up. A sudden collapse, a doctor's stern warning, and the kind of emptiness that made him question what he had really been chasing. So, in search of rest, he went home. His hometown hadn't changed much. The same narrow streets, the same quiet harbor, the same soft wind that carried the scent of the ocean. But Daniel had changed. And as he walked through familiar places with unfamiliar heaviness, he wondered if rest was something he could even recognize anymore. On his second night home, after hours of staring at the ceiling unable to sleep, he wandered toward the old lighthouse overlooking the sea. The moon hung low over the water, pale and steady, like a memory refusing to fade. And then he heard it. A voice. Soft, warm, and achingly familiar. A small cafe by the pier had a speaker playing a late-night radio show. The host spoke with calm certainty, her tone gentle enough to quiet the restless. Daniel froze. He knew that voice. He had once known it better than his own heartbeat. Sarah. She was 27 now. Back then, she had dreamed of writing songs, of traveling far away, of chasing sunrise in new cities. But life had asked something else of her: responsibility, presence, stability. So she stayed. And somewhere along the way, she became the voice strangers leaned on when their nights felt too heavy. Daniel didn't expect to see her. But life, in its quiet way, arranged it. Sarah stepped out from the back door of the cafe, locking it with the tired precision of someone who worked too late, too often. The moonlight touched her hair, outlining her silhouette with a gentle glow. When she noticed Daniel standing there, still as a photograph, her breath halted for a moment. 6 years apart, and yet it took only a second for silence to remember everything. Their reunion wasn't dramatic. There were no tears, no accusations, no grand gestures. Just a quiet shock, a soft nod, and the kind of tension that appears when two people once meant something but never said it out loud. Sarah was polite, warm, but careful. Daniel was gentle, present, yet filled with unspoken apologies. They parted after a few minutes, but the air between them lingered longer than their footsteps. In the days that followed, fate seemed to place them in each other's path again and again. Not in extraordinary places, but ordinary ones. The small bookstore where they used to study side by side, the night market glowing with lanterns, the pier where they once sat for hours talking about dreams they were too young to understand. They didn't try to force anything. They simply met. In small, quiet moments that felt strangely effortless. Daniel learned that Sarah had become the kind of person who carried other people's worries so they didn't have to hold them alone. She listened more than she spoke, and smiled in a way that hid the fatigue beneath it. Sarah learned that Daniel, once driven and restless, had softened. His ambition was still there, but now it came with shadows, regret, loneliness, and the weight of years spent running without knowing what he was running toward. In each conversation, they peeled back another layer of the past. Not to rewrite it, but to understand it. Daniel confessed, not with words but with the tired way he looked at the sea, that he had left abruptly because he feared attachment would anchor him. He worried that if he stayed, he would never become the person he hoped to become. Sarah didn't say it aloud, but Daniel could sense it anyway. She never chased him because she felt she wasn't enough. Not bright enough, not free enough, not brave enough to ask someone to stay. And somewhere between shared silences, moonlit walks, and the soft familiarity returning to their gestures, something gentle began to grow. Not the intense spark of young love, but a slow warmth. A quiet understanding. A presence that felt like rest after years of running. Daniel's insomnia eased. Sarah began to laugh more. Nights didn't feel as heavy. And the moon, steady, pale, unwavering, became the silent witness to every small step they took toward each other. Still, a question remained. Were they meeting because of longing, or because they were finally ready? One evening, as the moon rose high and the harbor lights flickered like distant stars, Daniel realized something he had never noticed before. Rest wasn't a place. It wasn't an achievement. It was a person, a presence, a feeling of finally being allowed to stop running. And Sarah, standing beside him in that quiet night, understood something just as important. Opening her heart again didn't mean risking everything. Sometimes, it simply meant allowing something soft to exist where once there was only fear. In the end, their story became less about reunion, and more about learning to rest in someone's presence, letting vulnerability become strength, and allowing something gentle to grow, where years ago, nothing had the chance to bloom.